Fighting together for the same goal.
The justice that I see, I may find while
I shall avenge my father and brother.
My spear grows stronger.
I am Ma Chao.
I will protect Tongate.
Ma Chao the Splendid, known for his magnificent armor and stalwart appearance, along with being one of the 5 Tiger Generals. Definitely an awesome character in the game. And in this video, I just want to take a closer look at his evolution from game to game. That's it. With that being said, let's talk about everyone's favorite spear-wielding Justice.
Another obstacle in the path of...
No, not that one. And we're going to be taking a closer look at how he's changed in terms of his importance in the game, maybe a little bit of his moveset, personality if it's changed. Basically how his importance from each game has evolved throughout the series. Now we're going to start at Dynasty Warriors 3 for him. Even though he was in Dynasty Warriors 2, his moveset is pretty much the same, and they only improved upon it in Dynasty Warriors 3 with more C's, along with the fact that everyone agreed in Dynasty Warriors 2 that playing Mime wasn't really that fun anymore. So starting off with Dynasty Warriors 3, Ma Chao has a decent amount of content in him. A lot of the in-battle cutscenes that he got were interchangeable cutscenes, so they're not like super unique to him, but he was involved with one major cutscene before the non-mon campaign, and of course he has his unique in-battle cutscenes and I guess pre-cutscene for the Battle of Tongate. So his involvement early on seemed pretty cool, and I mean again, he looked great in the game. He was just an improvement from Dynasty Warriors 2. He had the armor on, his Muso was really loud in the sense that it was different. It was different than a lot of other people. I think his voice acting in the game was also really good as well. And in Dynasty Warriors 3, he was really well put together. Moving over to Dynasty Warriors 4, starting off with his look, I think it was okay. Is it supposed to be like an ogre? Not too big of a fan of the way he looked in Dynasty Warriors 4. His armor seemed a little less significant. I think it's because in Dynasty Warriors 3, he was more covered, like head to toe in the armor. Like he just had scales all over him. He had the armor wrapped around him. His helmet was the shape of a dragon. It was very evident and very awesome. Dynasty Warriors 4, they kind of stripped away a lot of that. He went more to this like light armor kind of look, which is okay. It's just not one of my favorites. His helmet was decent, but they went with more of the, it looks like more of an ogre to me, but I guess it's more of like the dragon tips instead of the dragon head. In terms of the involvement within Dynasty Warriors 4, he seemed to go down. His involvement seemed to go down a lot more. He had a couple of unique cutscenes at the Battle of Chengdu, and that's it. Of course, you can get the interchangeable stuff with him if you played some of the other stages on free mode and triggered him, but he just seemed to be less significant in Dynasty Warriors 4. He was still fun. Moveset was great. I think he had a decent upgrade to his C3. Everything else remained relatively the same. But for me, Ma Chao in Dynasty Warriors 4 seemed just a little less significant than he did in the previous game. And then hailing over to Dynasty Warriors 5, this is where we get that bright, shining light on his forehead, because he gets a whole story to himself, as does every character in Dynasty Warriors 5. So obviously his involvement is a lot stronger in this game. All of his cutscenes really come from his story alone, so I guess that doesn't necessarily mean he was as involved, but it was still fun to watch. You got a bunch of different things going on for him. A couple of unique encounters with him. And in Dynasty Warriors 5, he looks absolutely great. I think they blend like a white kind of look to him. The dragon armor, or it looks like, honestly, it looks like an ogre again. But it looks cleaner than it did in Dynasty Warriors 4. The white just looked amazing on him. The design for him was really fleshed out from Dynasty Warriors 4 to Dynasty Warriors 5. And he looks absolutely amazing in Dynasty Warriors 5. He wasn't part of any major main cutscenes or anything of that nature. None of the movie CG things. Because of Dynasty Warriors 5, focusing on those individual stories, I think Ma Chao really shined in Dynasty Warriors 5, and if you didn't have a chance to get to know or like him in the first 2 games, then in this game you really had the chance. A lot of people's love for him began to grow, at least for me personally. When I played him in Dynasty Warriors 5, he was awesome. I mean, he was always riding a horse, jumping off of it at the end for his ending, and just seemed fearless, and that's what really drew me to him as a fan of these characters and the story and all that good stuff. Moving over to Dynasty Warriors 6, now in the original vanilla game, you know, because I didn't know that there was a special version in when I was younger. My guy has one cutscene. He shares one with Zhao Yun. His look, it's not that great. It's similar to Dynasty Warriors 4, and I think he has less armor on. So he's got the shorter hair, he's got the less significant helmet, strap, face mask thing on, and his armor is really non-existent on him. He's just got like a lot of light leather looking stuff. I mean, he doesn't have much on him for Dynasty Warriors 6. His look in Dynasty Warriors 6 really took a steep decline in my opinion. But his story in Dynasty Warriors 6 Special was really, really good. Why? Because he actually had a story. They gave him a story in the PS2 version, which highlighted him beautifully, but I wasn't able to play that until like a year ago. And I've been a fan of this series for a long time. I didn't know Dynasty Warriors 6 Special was an actual thing. But in terms of the vanilla version, when I first played through it, first of all, they stripped away his iconic movement and they cloned him with other people. Maybe that was designed to be like Ma Chao's movement, but because he shared it with other people, kind of dimmed it away from him. So moving into Dynasty Warriors 6, the special version, the Great Sword, it was alright. You know, not my personal pick for Ma Chao. I liked his story in Dynasty Warriors 6 Special. I think it did him justice. I think it fit well for him. But the vanilla version, my God, they forgot about him. They didn't, or maybe they just knew that they were going to have a PlayStation exclusive game and they only included for that. But it felt like to me when I played Dynasty Warriors 6 back in the day, like what happened? They went from a great story. People get so invested in Dynasty Warriors 5 and in Dynasty Warriors 6, my guy's got one cutscene with Zhao Yun, and that's it. That's all he gets. And then after Dynasty Warriors 6, it kind of goes downhill from there, in my opinion, for Ma Chao. Starting off with Dynasty Warriors 7, my guy gets 2 cutscenes. Whole game, 2 cutscenes. And I looked up the 7 Extreme Legends because I don't have the 7 Extreme Legends game yet because I think it's PlayStation 3 exclusive only, so it's not like I can buy it on my PS4. And anyway, the point is that he's got 2 main cutscenes on Dynasty Warriors 7. He's got one with Jiaxu and then one with Sun Ce. That's it. And then 7 Extreme Legends is when he gets a cutscene with his cousin and then some of the other Shu characters as well. I think it's like after the Nautmon campaign or something. I remember briefly watching it. But for Dynasty Warriors 7, my guy gets 2 kind of irrelevant cutscenes to him. Jiaxu one, okay, Tong Gate, but, you know, that's not really his purpose. From Dynasty Warriors 3, we knew he was after Cao Cao. Why is he there talking to Jiaxu? So for me, after Dynasty Warriors 6, and we'll talk about it with the last 2 games, his significance, KT's love for Ma Chao, absolutely went down the toilet. Maybe they read about his history, but they would have already known because I think in one of the older games, Dynasty Warriors 2 or Dynasty Warriors 3, I read somewhere, maybe in the manuals or online, that the team that made those games had expert knowledge on this time period and the book. So that means they already knew who Ma Chao was. They gave him his individualized story. They gave him this incredible moveset and all that other stuff. So if the later iterations, they were going more quote unquote woke and they're like, Ma Chao's a bad guy, we're gonna give him less content. I don't think that would be a good argument. I don't know why he got less content in the later games, but Dynasty Warriors 7, he got 2 cutscenes, and they were for 2 people that he doesn't really have a connection with at all. I can see it with Cao Cao, I can see it with maybe Shu Chu, right? I honestly don't remember how he even got a cutscene with Sun Ce, but they were fighting each other on the battlefield. I gotta remember what stage was that? How did they even meet? Ma Chao was on the other side of the map. Anyway, and then for his moveset in Dynasty Warriors 7, I liked his EX attacks, the little thunder thing. I think that's cool. His Musos obviously changed from Dynasty Warriors 6. He had the basic one that everyone had for Dynasty Warriors 6, but the Musos in Dynasty Warriors 7, they were okay. Yeah, they were just very average. I mean, the first one, I think he just lunges forward and then like shoots down lightning or something. And then the second one, I think is the cool one where he singles out one of the people, splits into like 4 shadows or whatever, and then he cuts into him. So that was interesting. Still not that great. I think his EX attacks was fun though. His EX attacks was really good, and I enjoyed it in Dynasty Warriors 7. Moving into Dynasty Warriors 8, my man gets a little bit more content. He gets a total of 4 cutscenes. 4 cutscenes in total. I don't think he had any in Extreme Legends, did he? He didn't have, I don't have anything for him for Dynasty Warriors 8 Extreme Legends. This guy gets 4 cutscenes, and they're a little bit more relevant than the last game. At least he's got the one with Shu Chu and Wang Yi, who doesn't even... He should have a thing with Wang Yi. Like, they should have an interaction. Maybe they have one in 7 Extreme Legends. I just didn't see it. But no, because I think everyone in 7 Extreme Legends got 1 cutscene, right? And Wang Yi's at the end, I think, is with Sima Yi's, if I remember correctly.
Why are you so depressed?
They should have an interaction. They don't. So he's got his Chengdu one, where obviously reminiscent of Dynasty Warriors 4, where he's like thinking Liu Bei is a bad guy and everything. And then they got some miscellaneous ones that are towards like the hypothetical side of Shu, which was cool. I didn't mind it. You know, the Battle of Mountain June, he was there. And then I think the castle one, right? I forget which battle it is. Yeah, I remember the castle one with Jiang Wei. Tian Shui, I guess that's what it would be. You know, he gets 1 line.
We have all gathered here, drawn by our Lord's vision.
Are you sure about?
But, you know, these cutscenes, at least the first 2 are better than Dynasty Warriors 7, but it felt like he was an afterthought for them. Again, great stories in 5 and 6, and then Dynasty Warriors 7 and 8, they absolutely just forget about him. And then last we have the travesty of Dynasty Warriors 9, giving my boy Ma Chao absolutely 1 measly cutscene. Oh, I'm sorry. They actually gave him 2, but 1 measly cutscene without DLC, and it's only his ending. That's it. I think they're in the Nautmon area. Like when he's talking about it, I think they're in a jungle. He's on some cliff or something, talking with Ma Chao, realizing that he has friends, and then he jumps off the cliff. Dynasty Warriors 9, they didn't get it. Was clear after Dynasty Warriors 6 that Ma Chao was a 100% afterthought by the time they got to Dynasty Warriors 9. And then I guess he technically has a second one because they give him a line in Dynasty Warriors 9 for Chen Gong's DLC of all people. Because the DLCs were their attempt to make hypotheticals, and Chen Gong was on a rampage of unifying the land. He brought Ma Chao because he was the leader of Liang province, and then he had something to say. I forgot what he said already. But it was just so insignificant, you know. He was just there gathered with everyone else, and I think they were there to oppose Cao Cao, right? Yeah, you know, Ma Chao says one line and that's it. And that's pretty much it for Ma Chao's evolution. His moveset in 8 and 9, they're relatively the same. Yeah, 9, his Muso is reminiscent of, I believe, his Rage Mode. The little spear shaking thing he does. It's alright. Does he do the jump thing? I know in Dynasty Warriors 8, Rage Mode, Ultimate Muso attack, he does the old Muso attack. But he has the one from Dynasty Warriors 7, and I think, what's the aerial one he does? I can't remember the aerial one he does, but I don't think it was that memorable. It was probably just like a lightning blast, similar to maybe the Zhao Yun or even Liu Bei's. I can't remember. His ES attacks were cool though. I thought they added a lot of speed for him. I enjoyed his movesets in the later games. Dynasty Warriors 9, it was hard to really enjoy the gameplay, but it was very similar to Dynasty Warriors 7 and 8. And unfortunately, I believe he shares his moveset with people. I think he shares it with Zhao Yun and Zheng Wei, maybe? And like I mentioned in my Dynasty Warriors 9 combat video, I'm sure they have their differences as well if I sit down and look for them. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the evolution of Ma Chao. For me, just a little summary, he started out decent. He had some decent spotlight, then they gave him some great spotlight. Really good opportunities to love this character. And then by the time they got to the modern, quote unquote, modern era, which is 7, 8, and 9 in my opinion, they really dwindled down his importance and just significance to the game. Ma Chao is just, he's a background character now, which is weird. Like, if you're gonna include him, why? Why did you include him? Just neglect him later, right? I think a lot of characters suffer from this as well, besides like the main characters. But you have these characters that are interesting, and they brought him in. I mean, he brought in Dynasty Warriors 2 was his playable appearance. That's 25 years of being part of the game, right? So as they went later on in the modern era of the Dynasty Warriors games, he just got less and less content, less and less significant. And I don't know why. I mean, why bring him in the first place then? Why not make him playable later? But that's besides the point. That's all I have for the evolution of Ma Chao the Splendid. One of my favorite characters from the game. I think his moveset is really what probably brings him up in popularity, along with his armor, or like the way he looks, because they usually do a really good job with both of those things for him. The simplicity of the character's moveset really started to drag out, and again, the later game as well. He was just very simple. I mean, he shared the old NPC movement in the earlier games, but it was still so fun. I mean, attack speed was great. He had some great AoE. Muso was fun, and I don't think most people cared about that, but later on, they start giving everybody the similar moveset to Ma Chao, so he starts to blend in. They give him less cutscenes, so he's really starting to blend in now, and people that loved him now barely get to see him, and I think it's been a real shame to see the evolution of Ma Chao. And in Dynasty Warriors Origins, he's not even going to be in the game. He's been cut, so they don't get past 208 anyway, so technically his part in the history isn't going to be really explored yet. But yeah, that's all I have for Mr. Ma Chao here. That's my take on his evolution from Dynasty Warriors kind of 3 up until 9. Again, he doesn't really do much in Dynasty Warriors 2. Nobody does anything except for like the mini tiny cutscenes. But anyway, guys, that's all I have for the video here. I'm going to do a couple more of these if you guys enjoy them. Let me know who you guys want to see next. I just started with Ma Chao because, I don't know, he just popped up in my head. I'm like, who haven't I really talked about in a while? Ma Chao. So Ma Chao is first. Let me know who you guys want to see next. Appreciate you all for watching, and if you enjoyed it, definitely appreciate a like. If you guys comment, subscribe, all that good stuff helps out the channel a ton, and I will see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching, everyone.